Now your hosts for KLEAN Radio, Andrew and Judah.
Well, welcome, Judah. How are you doing this week?
I'm great.
Yeah?
First of all, before we forget, most important thing, happy Mother's Day.
We'll
see.
We got an hour left. East Coast, though.
Yeah, but it's still, they're going to be watching it going. You know, both our mothers are going to be watching going, did they? So happy birthday, Ima, which is Hebrew for mother.
Something I did not know.
Yeah, Ima is Hebrew
Well,
for mother, and Abba is Hebrew for father.
Great.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Very good.
Yes.
Well, this is Unlucky Show 13.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But I think we're going to actually have a very lucky show.
It's like, who thought we'd make it that long? 13 weeks.
13 weeks, yeah, already. I can't believe it. I'm very excited about our show tonight. We got a good show tonight.
We do have a great show tonight.
Yeah.
It's all women.
Except for us.
Except for us. I mean, it's for, right. Yeah.
Of course, then again, Tom at our local gas station might have something to say about that.
And no, I think it's also, but I think it's important, you know, because we're going to touch on a topic that was in the New York Times about Anonymous, and I think there is something people don't really understand about addiction and all that stuff, and it is supposed to be fun. You know, you get sober, you're supposed to live a fun life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this isn't for people, you know, if I was miserable, and I'm 13 years, almost 13 years, if I was miserable, what would be the point?
Yeah, and I think the point is that you don't get sober just to stop being in pain.
Right.
You get sober so that you can live an active, fruitful life and enjoy, you know, what talents you have.
And I think that's what separates that and therapy in a sense. Because therapy, when you go to therapy, the goal is obviously, but the therapist's job, well, what do I know? But it's that's where we're different from therapy. That's where 12 steps are different than should be.
Well, all these things I think blend, and I think that not one is necessarily more important than the other at times. Certainly medical intervention has its place and can be primarily important if something's severely wrong, and I encourage everyone to always see a doctor first because they're the best trained to sort of triage what might be going on with people.
Mm-hmm.
But then secondarily, there's a lot of therapeutic interventions below there. The interesting thing about therapy is a lot of the work that actually occurs in therapy happens within the individual once they leave a therapeutic session. So it's the work they do within themselves that they've gotten out of being in therapy.
I'm not going to blow. That's actually a great point.
You're just pointing out.
Yeah, I'm just giving you props that you actually. That's a great point.
Yeah.
You know.
And then I think the fellowship stuff and 12-step social model is very important. I think that people being connected to a group of other like-minded people, they can support each other with chronic illness and disease of addiction, and being able to get support within the community for that, and with friends and fellowship is great.
No, we were talking about that you and you got sober with Barry. And that you probably, you and him, that was important.
Yeah, I think, everybody's path's different, and I think that everybody's type of addiction is different, and the concept that one size fits all is wrong, and that different people have different issues. I've met people that were convinced they were addicts and alcoholics. Then, they got on antidepressants, and then they actually could go back to social drinking. So not that I'm actually encouraging people that might be in AA to experiment with social drinking, but I think that, there is a lot of misdiagnosis between drug abuse and alcohol abuse, and then when it actually progresses into the disease of addiction.
Well, I think that's why it's pretty safe to say that people that drink, that, I'm one of the rare few that's, just a drinker.
Right.
I think I'm a lot easier to diagnose and say, oh, he's an alcoholic.
Oh, there's no doubt you're easier to diagnose.
Right. No, on many levels. But you get what I'm saying. Like, it's like when heroin is a physically addicted drug, right? Anybody that does heroin will need heroin.
Well, if they do it for a period of time.
For a period of time, right?
Consistently.
But an alcoholic, if I drank every day for 30 days and I wasn't an alcoholic, would I need it on day 31?
Most likely not.
Right, but an alcoholic would need it on day 31.
Not physically necessarily. Depends how much they were actually drinking, but certainly they'd be more predisposed to having a stronger psychological craving than someone that isn't sort of predisposed to alcoholism and the disease of alcoholism.
The number here is 877-8830-830. The number here is 877-8830-830. We have a great show tonight. We have great guests.
Yeah, we absolutely. We have Suzy Mccoppin.
Mccoppin.
I'm going to get her name right before the end of the night. Who's a writer and author. She's actually writes for Playboy.com.
Ooh, baby.
Yeah, and we'll have a lot of interesting stories with her. And then we have Amber Tozer, who's a great comedian. She was on Last Comic Standing before she got sober. So we're going to get to hear stories, I think, about doing comedy before she was sober on TV and then getting sober and how she's been able to be a successful comic since then.
And I've known Suzy for many and many years, and we're going to take a...
Yeah, we're going to go out to break, and we'll bring in our guests. And I'd like to talk a little bit about the issue we were talking about. That was in the New York Times today. They had an article about whether the second A in AA is necessary. I think it's going to be a very intriguing conversation.
Well, since Bill Wilson, I'll just go to the break with this. Since Bill Wilson was voted by Time magazine as, I think, number 2, second most influential man of the last century... I think
true? I didn't know that.
I think there goes anonymity.
Yeah, right.
So, you know, and Bill Wilson is the, for people that don't know, is the founder of Alcoholics Anonymous, the co-founders. Right. So, talk about anonymity, and we'll be right back on KLEAN Radio.
Great. Welcome back to KLEAN Radio.
It's KLEAN with a K.
I'm here with Judah, and you can reach us at
877-830-830, 877-830-830. Something really funny. I'm on the phone with my mother the other day, and she needed my...
funny.
Yes. And,
old baby.
It's so unusual.
Yes. And she needed my email address. So I said, you know, it's Judah at KLEAN Center, and it's right. Judah with a K. I mean, KLEAN
with a K.
KLEAN with a K. And she's like, yes, I listened to the show. Are you going to give me the number now, too? So the number here is 877-830-830. And
we have our first guest in the studio.
Ever or for the evening?
No, for the evening.
Oh, so excited.
Suzy Mccoppin, is that correct?
Yes.
Occasion.
I'm always getting O's and whatever.
He has a hard time with names.
I'm not good with names. It's like one of these things. I'm terrible with names.
And certain words. Like back.
But your cock
back,
is huge.
Yeah. Like,
right out the gate, baby.
Right?
That's how I do.
Wow.
So Suzy, so that everyone
here.
So Suzy does write for Playboy Radio.
Right. So tell us about that. So you're a writer.
Yes, indeed.
Yes. And you write for Playboy.
Also true.
Right.
You want me to just be extemporaneous?
Yes, please.
Okay, but no cursing?
It is radio.
Go by the 7 words.
Our engineer's standing there with his finger on the button, so.
Yeah.
Can I say crap?
Yes, you can say crap.
Crap is underrated as a swear word because it's just so ridiculous.
You're bringing
crap
back?
You know where crap comes from, right?
Talk to me.
Thomas Crapper, who invented the toilet.
Oh.
So.
Well, what an homage
to
him.
It is, right?
That makes
Isn't
a lot
that
of
nice?
sense.
You invent the toilet, and they make your last word after the...
Duty.
The duty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So where was I? Duty.
You're going to tell us about what you do.
Oh, okay, right. So I wrote a book with a girlfriend, and we decided to send an excerpt to Playboy in the hopes of having it published. And they said, oh, we love it. We want to give you your own column.
Huh?
So I'm awesome. Read between the lines. And then, so they gave me the... How dare you, sir? They gave me my own column, and then that kind of that sort of morphed into like being an online personality.
Right.
I actually bought the Playboy with her first column, you know, because she asked me to. And
right, because Judah's cheap, so for him to go out and buy something, it must have been
good.
And
not because I'm Jewish,
right?
Because I have no money. Just want to make sure people don't think that was an anti-Semitic joke. I just happen to be cheap because I have no money.
Well, you know, it is what it is.
Stereotypes are there for a reason.
Oh. Anyway,
that's
getting back.
Yes.
Awkwardness. So
I love Jews.
It was a great article, by the way, and I read the magazine, and it was all I really did with that Playboy.
Enriching, and now it's under your mattress.
And now it is saved. For, when I was talking to him before the show, you ever see that show Pawn Stars with a PAW?
My mom's on that.
Your mom's on?
No,
Oh.
the other one.
She's on hardcore porn. Pawn, because that show's filmed out of Detroit, and Suzy's from Detroit.
Out of Detroit myself.
Oh.
And you see what you remember from? I've known Suzy for 12 years.
Go way back.
And
How could I didn't think anybody could have known Judah for 12 years.
it's when I first got sober. I didn't say we kept in touch.
Right.
I would periodically
road.
bump into Suzy.
Right.
I used to call her Julie for the first 4 years I knew her.
And she never corrected you?
I think she had given up.
I think I was
I was so
Like, sounds good.
I was so a ghost to her
Disdainful.
anyways.
No, you were not.
Yeah.
He was such a boob to me.
Yeah?
That's so funny because for the last 5 minutes I've been thinking, how do I describe Judah, early Judah, without swearing? And I came up with boob.
Boob is perfect.
Thanks.
And this is fascinating.
Oh, good. I'm glad you're
Yeah.
fascinating.
I absolutely want to know what Judah was like.
Yeah, he was just. Can you say Douche? Audige?
Well, yeah, I think
We'll
we get
find
it.
out. We'll find out. Well, no, they have commercials that talk about douching. So why can't you call
Yeah,
somebody?
we're just
Yeah,
Shout out.
I think we're marginally cutting
Yes.
the line here.
That's what we do. We're
So yes, I
educated
I had a minute sober. I had
And I was nothing but pleasant.
Yes.
I think he anticipated
I did.
that I was an a-hole.
I did.
Right.
And preemptively, even in the face of contrary action,
Uh-huh.
and and we've worked through our differences.
I think that's a great. That sums it up.
Yeah,
I was
I nailed
being
it.
preemptive, without a doubt. When you first get sober, you live in. You could be a little fearful.
Right.
You don't have alcohol anymore to talk to a girl. Not that it
Right.
worked when I was, but to even just like think
Numb
you
the
can,
pain.
it wasn't there. To numb the pain, right?
Well, Suzy, we've been having this ongoing debate whether or not Judah's girlfriend really exists or not.
Oh yeah,
So-
people say that about my boyfriend, like Loch Ness Monster. We
Oh,
should
yeah?
get them together.
Maybe we should. They should. The fake Anson.
Fanson.
Fanson.
So do you think Judah's girlfriend's real?
Yeah, it was weird because you mentioned it back there. I was like,
Yeah.
what? Who? I mean, not that he. I mean, I'd hit it,
Yeah?
but I've just in all the years I've known him, I've never known him to be betrothed to another.
Oh,
Ugh.
it's a long time.
That's
Your mother's going to love this show,
My mother
Judah.
loves this show.
Show 13.
Every week, it's like I'm getting I'm getting therapy.
Therapy, right.
People are dissecting. Today we have a beautiful woman sitting next to me, talking about me being a boob.
Yeah, your mother's
How
like, who
she's-
was that girl?
How she's never seen me with anybody.
She was not Jewish. I don't care for her. If she was not Jewish, I don't want her in this house.
And this is great. You're talking about me being cheap. I have, let's say I don't have a girlfriend, which I do. I would never get one after this show.
Or you might lose one
I
after
might
this
lose one
show.
after the show. Tommy at the gas station, you are my best shot.
Is she from the Niagara Falls area?
Yes, she is. And I get the Breakfast Club reference. Hello! Yeah.
excellent.
Wow, you two are just
We
way
got
too
that. We
into
got that.
it.
It's
Very impressive.
that's
Because I always bust that out, and I always wonder if people get it.
Last week I was at a party busting out Breakfast Club references, and nobody was getting it.
You gotta
I'm like,
holla.
did you tie Larry Lester's butt cheeks? Nobody got it.
Come on.
And nobody.
How old was everyone? 15?
No, they were the same, but I don't know. Me and you obviously have
right
a
here.
deeper connection.
You know when the tape came off, some skin came off. You know that.
It's two hits.
Yeah.
Two hits. Me hitting you hitting the floor.
He was not playing.
And no, because you know what it was? It was a girl named Claire. And she was doing and every time I meet a Claire, I always want to say,
That's a fat chick's
that's a
name."
fat chick's name.
Oh my God, marry me.
Oh.
And,
the two of you.
Hurt.
and
I don't know. I'm having trouble with the show already. This is our 13th show, right?
this is our 13th show.
Jinx.
And so I bought the article. She's an amazing writer.
Oh, thank you, sir.
And I was impressed.
I went to college.
Should we have expected less?
In Hollywood, yes.
So tell us about the column and what you do with Playboy. What do you write about mostly? Sex problems, sex issues?
Well, I met
Just-
I met with the boss, for lack of a better word, not Hugh, but the guy who was like taking over.
Right.
And he was coming over from Maxim, and he wanted to bring in this whole like new regime.
Uh-huh.
So he's like, "I got it. We're gonna call you Party Girl."
Ah.
And I was like, "Are you sure?"
Dead on.
Yeah. Because and then I wrote an article about this because for years I did a nightlife column for one of the tabloids, and my job was to hang out in clubs and spy on everyone, but I could never get into any club. Like one time I waited for 4 hours.
And somebody was very rude to you one time. Somebody we both know.
Well, doesn't a lot of the good dirt happen
Oh.
like in line though? Like, like people who can't get in that are famous, and that's what I always see like on
Oh, yeah, like
the
Tara
5
Reid.
minutes I watched
Right,
TMZ.
that's-
or
No,
whatever.
they
Yeah,
do
5
that in New
minutes.
York. That's a New York thing.
That's a New York thing.
Yeah, here, no, they will like roll out the red carpet for like, you know, like
Right.
just
Anybody
Bin
that
Laden,
might.
anyone remotely relevant. They're totally, they just think,
That's a death carpet this week, but
in my case, and I knew a lot of people because from New York I used to go to clubs, but I actually, it's all about who you know. So I do actually have enough of juice, if you will, and I think you will, to get in. But I walk up so like apologetically and like I'm not worthy. I just reek of that. So I just sit in the back of the line and like pick my nose for 4 hours once. That was a lot of picking.
wow.
And she had a hard time too. If we know somebody that we both don't like.
Oh, awesome.
That got in a fight with you one time or said some nasty stuff to you because they felt like you were writing for these.
Oh yeah, people think I go to meetings for that, which is ridiculous.
Right.
It's like, but whatever, they don't know.
Over
me.
a fight?
No.
People think I go to meetings so I can be like, oh, so and so was.
Oh, so you can
I write the right, yeah,
Oh.
exactly. Which
Well, that brings up sort of a big part of our
Right, which is
our topic of the day today.
Yeah.
anonymity.
And I know for sure
Anonymity.
she never, there's some people you could truly say would or wouldn't. Susie would never go to a meeting.
I appreciate that. Thank you. You
and,
know me. Yeah,
and I said that
never
to you
have.
right away when
Thank
that
you.
person said that. I was extremely, if you knew the person, I can't say his name
You
because
gotta write it down.
I can't even say what we call him as a joke because
It's like Beetlejuice.
you'll know
like
right
you write
away.
it- yeah.
But we're talking. There is a great article in the New York Times this week about anonymity.
Yeah, it's an article by David Coleman. It actually just came out, I believe, yesterday, and it's called "Challenging the Second A in AA," and it talks about how the anonymous part of AA is now sort of out of date.
I would totally disagree with him.
That's part of the article.
That is, I just think in the old days people really don't realize this. They used to give their last names
in
Right,
meetings.
right.
in meetings because how were you supposed to call somebody up? What were you supposed to look up? Frank in the in the white pages, like just call Frank A or Frank with a nickname. Call Frank the mailman. So they would give you their
Common
last
baker.
names so you would be able to look them up or if you needed to call.
But even now, though, don't you think it's sort of the line of, so many people have written books. Like this article
right.
talks, Nikki Sixx has written a whole
Right.
book about his experience, talks about AA. We just have, famous people coming out all the time
Right.
saying, so, is...
But just
And a lot of what this article talks about is that a lot of the reason that there was, this secrecy around...
because the dogma.
the
moral,
stigma.
Right, the stigma.
The stigma of being an AA and being an alcoholic, and that
Shame-based.
and it said that it was comparing it to being gay, and that in the gay community that for so long people wouldn't come out of the closet, and it wasn't until people were
Right.
more open and came out of the closet a lot of the stigma was lifted.
AA is the new gay.
AA is the new gay. That's basically
Beautiful.
what this article
yeah,
said.
Yeah, it's evolving into a place, thanks to people like Lindsay Lohan or whatever.
Right.
It's actually evolved to a place where it's kind of glamorized in the way that like heroin chic was glamorized 10 years ago. So
Right,
the-
with waif models.
But
Yeah.
but I
Which
think
is-
it had
which is
to.
good.
I think it had to in a sense
Yeah.
because listen, I don't know Nikki Sixx's reasons for writing it, but because of the Lindsay Lohans, because of the Charlie Sheens, there needs to be at this point celebrities that are actually doing well in the sober department that are like, listen, this thing actually works.
Yeah, we need some reps.
Because Andy Dick isn't exactly the torchbearer
Yeah,
for
he's
what's
not.
right about the
Yeah.
12 steps, and God bless Andy Dick. Very talented. Used to love him on news radio, but that's where the problem lies. The anonymous part was that people were getting on the Late Show,
Right.
going, "I'm sober,"
Right.
Oh yeah.
And
and
then 2 weeks they're not.
right. But what made AA famous, and a lot of people don't know this, but I don't know if you've ever noticed at meetings they have these pamphlets the pamphlets, and one of them is called the Jack Alexander article.
Mm-hmm.
The Jack Alexander article was written by Jack Alexander for the Washington Evening Post, which I believe at that point was the largest publication in America. Right. And Norman Rockwell, you ever see in many 12-step meetings they have two sick guy, one sick guy in bed, two standing over him. That was Norman Rockwell that did the portrait.
Oh yeah.
And when Jack Alexander wrote that article, that Monday morning, AA was flooded. Alcoholics Anonymous was flooded with phone calls because nobody had really. It was a little group in Cleveland. There was a little group, and all of a sudden, this guy wrote that there's help for alcoholism. So I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, to me, it's about that. When I started my career, I started really in mental health. I started working in psychiatric hospitals mostly, and I have a master's in social work, and I worked in acute care psychiatric hospitals. So for me, it was always about the stigma of mental illness. Working with schizophrenics, working with people, the homeless, mentally ill, working with people in prisons that were clearly mentally ill but had just been locked up, and nobody was really looking after them. And I see so many things still happening related to that are really issues of mental illness, like the whole thing with gun control being blamed for the Virginia Tech shootings when clearly the kid had a history of mental health problems.
Right.
But everybody talks about gun control, but nobody's talking about mental health problems.
Guns don't kill
that
people.
drives me crazy.
Guns
Right?
don't kill
It's like
people.
one answer.
Lack of Lexapro kills people.
And I think, right? You should just put it in the drink water. But I think that it's so obvious to me that guns obviously are dangerous, but mental illness untreated is obviously more dangerous.
No, I know. I think
Right.
it's so weird that all these experts are speculating it's because of the media and it's because of the video games. No, there's one answer.
It's mental illness.
Right. And I also believe that comes from people's need to have a reason why things happen. It can't just be because they're born crazy. Some people are just a little kooky.
Well, I think that mental illness is prevalent and people are scared of it and they just don't want to talk about it. The other thing is politically, as a politician, it's a lot easier to get votes talking about guns control or
mental illness
or fighting for gun rights than it is to address the issues of mental illness and mental health care.
We're in the studio with Suzy Mccoppin,
True story.
Playboy. Playboy.
This is the first time that you've actually spoken about her and the story's been true.
Even when I'm trying to be good, I get knocked.
Right?
We're in the studio with Suzy Mccoppin and our host Andrew and our co-host Andrew Spanswick. I love saying your name.
Yeah.
Andrew Spanswick. It's got like that Polish bond and
Scottish.
Scottish bond. I'm sorry, Scottish bond.
Scottish Polish.
Even though the new bond is Scottish, that must make you proud.
Yeah, it actually does a little bit.
Do you Scots have a little chat room?
There's this little club. It's like any group, any ethnicity.
Why? Who's the new Bond?
Daniel Craig.
Yeah.
Oh, he's Scottish?
Yeah.
Get the hell out of here.
Well, Sean Connery, of course, was the best Scot of all time.
He was. No, I actually, I gotta say, I'm starting to like Daniel Craig more than I did Sean Connery.
Oh, okay, get out of here. With that, we need to go to a break. I can't handle that one.
And the number here is 877-830-830, 877-830-830. We're in the studio with Suzy Mccoppin, and you're listening to Klean Radio. It's Klean with a K.
Yes, here we are.
Oh, yeah. How do I...
For the block boy.
Back on Klean Radio.
For the block boy. Yeah.
Judah ran out was that a quick smoke break?
Yes, it was a quick smoke.
Does your mother know you smoke?
My mother knows I smoke.
So how do you explain the smoking with sobriety?
How do I explain the smoking with sobriety? Well, I got to be honest. I am not getting into smoking accidents.
Right.
Although I've learned that you can't smoke on a scooter at the same time.
You were trying to smoke on your scooter?
Yeah, I was, and I'm like this. The cigarette's coming out of my helmet like this. Yeah, and I'm like,
wait, hold on. I've seen your helmet. It's a full face visored helmet.
Yes.
And you were smoking while driving your scooter.
Yes.
With a full face visored.
Yes.
You deserve to be dead right now.
And
I mean, that's like that. What is that Darwin list of the dumbest things people ever did that got themselves killed? You wouldn't have been in the top 10.
No, I don't do it.
I don't. You'd have been number 50.
I don't do it.
Or an honorable mention.
I don't
or something.
do it. I don't do it while I'm actually going. I do it at lights.
That's awesome.
At the light, I stop at the light and I light up.
You're definitely an addict.
Without a doubt. I don't think we've any. Well, I told you my way of knowing that I'm a total addict was. I was on an airplane about and in the studio with us now.
Let's introduce Amy. Amy Tozer?
Amber.
I'm sorry. I'm thinking, whatever.
You're married to
I
Amy.
am married to Amy. That's bad. I'm going to get in trouble for that one. Anyway, Amber.
Yeah, the Amber Alert.
Like the Amber Alert. That's right.
Probably not a good reference with your name, though.
Right?
It's like if your name is Katrina now.
I know. Amber used to be sexy. Now
now it's like a girl is missing.
Right? I was like, poor Amber.
Do you guys know the #1 cause of pedophilia in America?
Drinking.
Sexy toddlers.
Oh, God.
Sexy toddlers. It's no laughing matter.
I was like, the
you
name
sicko.
Amber?
So, Amber, you're
Amber
a
is the
comedian?
color of your energy.
Yes,
And
I'm a comic.
Yeah, you are a comic.
Well, whatever you want to call me.
Whatever I want to call you. Well, obviously, I've changed your name twice already, so
yeah.
why not just change your profession?
I'm George, and
Yeah,
I'm
right.
a custodian. It doesn't matter.
So you were on Last Comic Standing,
Yes.
and I guess that was before you got sober. You mentioned to me earlier.
Yeah, I was. That was right before. It was a couple months before I got sober. When by the time it aired, I got sober. But when we were filming, I was slightly drunk or really hungover.
Do you think that pushed you over the edge, the show?
No, well, I don't know. I was just full of fear the entire time. Except instead of being really excited about the experience,
Right.
I was flipping out. And of course, it's nerve-wracking because it's like national television and a huge opportunity. But I just remember being so hungover, and like when you're like shaking and
Right.
even the sunlight scares you.
Right.
So I just remember being really hungover and just so mad at myself for getting so drunk the night before a huge opportunity. So it did stick with me.
That shows like that to me seem very difficult.
Which last comic standing?
2008, right?
2008, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I got sober. I think it filmed in January 2008, and I got sober in March, and it aired in May. And I just was like, I was on my last few months.
You weren't standing anymore.
Yeah.
But
Haha, good one. I was standing. I had to stand.
So you got sober. What was that like for you?
Well crafted.
Getting sober.
I wasn't planning on it. I had reached a point to where I was like, I knew I had a problem, and I just was like, I'm just gonna have to drink for the rest of my life. Maybe I'll die a little earlier. maybe.
Right.
But
Not a bad trade-off.
yeah. Did you guys have that?
Yes, I did.
80.
Like,
Yeah,
did you? Were
totally.
you just like, this is the way it's gonna
Good
be?
deal.
I really
I
did.
think most are.
Every
Yeah.
alcohol.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like sort
Called
of.
Live to Die Alcoholic.
Right. Well, that's
Yeah.
what in the book it actually
to a
says.
cause.
In the AA book, it says a spiritual life or an alcoholic death isn't always an easy question, which is basically like
Right.
die in a pool of my own urine, happy life.
Yeah.
Only for an alcoholic is that really a difficult question.
Yeah, or an unfortunate
Yeah.
prisoner.
Yes.
Or a fetishist.
Oh wow!
Yeah, golden.
Of course, the Playboy.com
Nice.
author
Sick.
has another answer. I'm impressed.
You're welcome.
I'm feeling stumped. That's what's happening. I'm feeling stumped. You're coming up with things
She's
that I
actually
would think
very quick.
She's.
You are.
I think
looks aside.
Show 13. I am just getting stumped. On
Looks
every
aside,
bit.
Suzy Mccoppin is a very bright woman.
Very bright.
That's
Yeah.
what I
Getting
was
a la-
saying when I
everybody
walked
gets a
in
lap
here.
dance.
I was
Even
like,
you,
she's
Amber.
a fast talker. I'm really slow.
Yeah, but I sound like an auctioneer. That's not hot. That doesn't mean
Yeah,
I'm
bit,
smart.
bit, bit,
Yeah, exactly.
Depends what you're auctioning, right?
Yeah, fair enough. Who wants the ball game?
Anyway, so we were talking about you getting sober.
Oh yeah, I got sober end of March. What do you want? You want to hear about the last time I drank, or just the whole thing?
What was it like? Look, all of a sudden you get sober, then you're looking back at yourself drinking on TV. That had to have been kind of surreal.
Yeah, it was. I don't know. I mean, I think when I got sober, I didn't plan on it. I just woke up one morning. I was in San Francisco. I had probably 12 drinks the night before, and I did Coke, which
Oh, yeah.
which I've done a handful. I've always hated Coke. I was just like, I've done it a handful of times. But that night, I couldn't stop drinking, and I couldn't stop doing Coke.
Right.
And I was like, and I didn't do anything stupid. Well, I drove over the Bay Bridge, really wasted,
That's
which is
pretty.
stupid.
Yeah, that could be
I did
construed
that.
as done by a
that
few
was
people.
stupid,
Okay.
but very lucky outcome.
Yeah,
In the down-
I was in and out of
range.
the blackout driving over the Bay Bridge, and then I went to a friend's house and drank more and did more Coke. And then the next morning I woke up, and I think I just had the moment of clarity, whatever you want to call it. I wasn't. It was a simple thought. It was like, I can continue to drink and live a shitty life, a bad life.
It's okay. It's dumped.
Yeah, they
Oh.
can,
Maybe not.
you get to hear that on the internet.
And you might have gotten to hear that on the actual radio.
When we have somebody from Playboy and a comic in the room, it's going to be tough.
And we have like our MMA guy was like
Right?
the MMA show before us. He was out of the parking lot and he heard that we would somebody
And
from
he came
Playboy.
back, right?
He's back. And he,
turning red.
I'm not joking. They, I think on last week's show they show you how to choke. I don't want to say it the wrong way. Choke you, they could make you pass out.
Why do I always have to wonder what the hell you're talking about?
Erotic
chokehold for MMA guys.
Right, the MMA guy.
A submission chokehold.
No, where you actually pass out.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a chokehold.
A chokehold.
It's a bunch of
Wait,
different
is this a sex thing?
No.
Yeah, then why
well,
are you
I mean,
being
I think some
overt?
people.
Judah has what's called tangential thinking, and so he just goes from topic to topic.
Yes.
And you have to wonder what the hell he's
Thank
talking
you,
about.
Mom. Happy Mother's Day. My mother calls me up sometimes and is like, so last week I was on the phone, and that's how the conversation starts. It's never, sometimes it doesn't even have to be, hey, how are you? It could be like, I was shopping this morning. You got to get it. Anyways.
All I love is that we have somebody from Playboy in here, and you're talking about your mom.
I've known her for 12 years. She's past Playboy to me. When you know somebody
for 12 years?
Yeah, we go way back.
Yeah.
I've known her since I basically got sober.
How much time do you have?
12 and a half years.
Oh, wow.
She has a little less. But there was nothing greater than when I saw her in L.A., and that's what's great.
Magic moment.
This magic moment. I think we have a call, by the way.
You were still a boob, and then I won you over. Oh.
We have a caller?
I was a boob.
You were a boob,
We
and
do
then I
have
won
a
you
caller
over.
coming in.
I was so intimidated by her that I called her the wrong name for 4 years. Okay, I used to call her. I used to call her Julie.
Sexy girls make you forget their names.
They do. When you're getting
Any
sober,
girl makes Judah forget.
but when you're
their
getting
name.
sober,
You forgot my name.
when you're
That's true.
that's yours because you're sexy.
There you
I'm
go.
not right now.
He was like
you're hot for
he was
teacher.
honing my skills at that point. He was like, how would Judah be right now?
Oh my goodness. So Suzy, how about you? What was you
would
got?
you like to know?
You got super sober 12 years ago now?
No, Suzy's been sober
started.
about.
I-
She
You
started.
You
commenced the
began the
path.
process.
And then I found out something very disappointing the other day.
What was that?
I'm moving out of my apartment.
No, that's always traumatic.
It's very traumatic. But when I moved here 7 years ago, I had maybe a year sober. And then I fell off the wagon instantly, right? But I didn't
Right.
have any connections. So I was forced to wander like Sunset La Brea in my pajamas trying to find Coke. You're not going to find Coke, but you may find a derivative.
Right.
Which I did, luckily. But it was a big pain. I was behind the Burger King, and it was like a Thriller video, like all the zombies are coming out, and then this total central casting crackhead comes out, and we're smoking crack, and we run out of crack, of course, which begs the question:
Right, who doesn't
do
run out of
crackheads
crack,
ever
right?
have leftover crack? Do you ever get up in the morning and go, oh, I can smoke it? It never happens. So now we're getting to the point where we're so low on crack that we're blowing it back and forth to
Wow.
each other.
Wow. Okay.
Like shotgunning.
That's
Crack-a-toing.
And then into a plastic bag, and then
Right. There's no loss if the cracks
No
move.
loss of the cracks.
Yeah, so I'm cheap too, so it's
Right,
not necessarily.
right.
Yeah,
It's not just Judah.
No, it's not cheap. It's called conserving the crack smoke.
That's what I think. Yes, thank you. Practical. And then I found out from my landlord as I'm moving out that my next door neighbor was a drug dealer. Imagine all of the pain and
all the
suffering.
pajama
that
walking for
Right.
nothing.
and
for
this has to
nothing.
do with you moving now. Oh, just got you.
No,
thinking.
I know. It just got me thinking because
Oh.
I always reflect on those episodes because there were several.
Well, Suzy, we have a friend of yours on the phone.
Oh, who might this be?
Should we take the call? His name's Theo. Theo, you there?
Oh, and
I am.
Welcome to Clean Radio.
Hey, Theo.
I heard we were smoking crack or something. I was like, let me get in on this.
Yes.
welcome. What's up, Theo?
Hey, baby doll. What are you guys doing?
We're having a radio show, and you're on it.
Well, I called in with just one question.
Okay.
Can we keep her from maybe get a dump button or something? Because I'm hearing a few things slip through.
Well,
that's our.
That was Amber.
That was
Ah,
Amber.
Amber has
okay,
Tourette's.
okay.
that was the comedian. We're actually Suzy's been very, very good.
Yes, except for the first word. Actually,
oh,
after
yeah.
the first word,
You gotta
Suzy's
open
been
strong.
great.
Yeah, you gotta.
She could not be a better human.
Are you actually listening on the
Oh,
radio, or are
that's
you
my
listening
dear.
on the internet?
I was listening on the internet.
Well, that's
Yeah,
why,
internet
because
doesn't
internet,
dump.
the feed
Yeah.
doesn't.
Doesn't get
Ah, I hear you.
So Theo, you're getting the
Rated
full
X.
uncensored
Censored.
Clean Radio version.
and
Well, I'm loving it.
we also shoot the
Thanks,
show,
buddy.
so you're going to see what Suzy has been doing in studio.
Oh,
Yeah.
good God.
And
Next week you can see it live. Well, not
Yes.
live, but
Humanity.
on video.
we are
on,
no longer a show about
cleanradio.com.
addiction. We are a show about porn, which is an addiction.
Porn can be an
Nice
addiction.
segue.
Yes.
It's killed just about every cell in my body. Pornography is my devil. It's my crack.
We'll love you through this.
Do you have a question, Theo, or are you just calling for...
No, just calling to say hi.
Well, that's cool. Appreciate the support.
Yeah,
Sure
up the
enough.
support.
I'll just get back to crack smoking.
Well, okay, Theo.
Everybody needs a hobby.
We wish you
Much
luck
love.
with that.
Have a great night, Theo.
Bye, Theo.
You
Bye,
guys.
Theo.
Bye.
And we are in the studio tonight with the lovely, bodacious Playboy writer.
So you can talk about me.
I was
Andrew.
about to say Andrew,
What about
and
me?
it didn't come quick enough because I said Playboy. Suzy Mccoppin.
Oh.
We are in the studio with the vibrant, bespeckled, drove drunk through this Golden Gate Bridge, and questions whether that was a problem. Lovely comedian Amber
Tozen.
Tozer.
Tozer.
Man, you are horrible with names.
I'm bad with names.
You are just.
This might be a career.
I'm
goal
gonna start
for-
writing for Playboy so you guys get my
Right?
name right.
Yeah. Well, I know. No.
You did
Trust
that for
me.
12 years.
No, trust me. Before
It's every
Suzy
week.
came in, he was like this. Suzy Mccoppin.
right?
He was like asking me, and I'm like,
McCoppin,
it's
McCoppin.
Samuel McDowell.
It's
Stephen
Mccoppin.
what?
I have a problem with names.
So it's Amber Tozer.
Tozer.
Wow. See?
So
Tozer.
okay, so Tozer. Okay, I got it.
I think all the drinking has had an effect.
And we're gonna take a break.
No?
No, we're
Why
not.
are we taking
And
a break?
I don't know, cause
Going straight through.
yeah, we're going straight through
I wanted to get more
Man
into
the anonymity.
Well, I wanted to have more of a talk with Amber here.
Oh.
We got Amber here, and she was just
Shut up.
telling us that
Amber,
she...
can you move over this way a little bit so I can see you too?
Yeah, and take off your top.
And now our engineer is on. Right. Curse words are being spewed around. He's got nothing.
Can I just want to make that noise all night instead of talking.
Amber, what's your favorite John Hughes movie? This is a very important question.
Very
so
important.
16
think.
Candles.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah,
Can
it's
I-
solid. Classic.
So it's, I thought you were going to say Pretty in Pink. Then I could ask if I could borrow your underwear. But
Borrow your underwear. 16 candles.
yeah, sorry, my bad.
How
16
dare you.
Candles.
So-
Yes.
16 candles.
Yeah.
Is the best.
16 Candles is the best, and I was talking. I can't remember who I was talking to about this yesterday, and I said to them, the best-looking guy, that guy that should have had it all, was in 16 Candles.
Jake Ryan.
He
Gave it all
What?
up.
He gave it
Oh,
all
he
up to be a
moved-
carpenter in Pennsylvania.
He did?
So did
Yes.
Jesus.
Yes, but Jesus had,
That's what he said to himself. He
Jesus
said,
had a lot
"What
more
Jesus
followers than Jake.
That's
Not
true.
not till about 600 years after his death.
But
That's-
Jesus had better abs. He was cut.
Yeah, but I think
That was
Jake
what-
was a little better looking.
I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
Great scene. I mean, that was a great movie, 16
That's the
Candles.
best
When did he
because-
when did he move to be a carpenter?
Like in
right?
like 91, he did this. Why am I IMDbing Jake yesterday? But I was talking to somebody.
Because that's your girlfriend.
Yes, I'm secretly in love with Jake Ryan, which I think most men in that day were.
Totally.
They were like, okay,
The camera guys are like, yeah.
he's handsome. He's
cute.
handsome enough.
It's the 80s.
He was, but he was a cool guy. He was like the
So
guy.
good.
If he would have called you and said, "Hey, let's go hang," you would have been like, "Okay."
I loved him
It's
in
Jake.
that movie because he smiled a lot and always said the right thing.
He was
just
cool.
Yeah.
He was cool.
Yeah,
he was a good
the
guy.
guy's guy.
And that scene in
Yeah.
the end, that scene in the end where like
wanna reenact it?
when Anthony Michael Hall's in the car and he finds her with what's her name, whatever her name is.
Carolyn.
Yes, and he's just like he gives them a smile, and it was just a great scene.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then he's like, "You're my Eskimo brother." Nice.
Yes, and
Do you guys know Eskimo brother?
Sure.
President's Club.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know.
Andrew's very bright, so he gets more of the
You know.
smart
my
references.
Explain it to the lay people.
Oh, my goodness. To Judah?
Which is sort of funny calling me a late person.
Let's try and stay on topic. I'm really trying to get some stories about recovery.
But we are. You know why this is so important
I
about
shared
recovery?
mine.
How long, Amber? How long are you sober?
3 years.
Suzy?
6.
13. You're sober a bunch of years too. We're having fun, and we're talking about we're having laughs
74%
that I would
buck
have
wild.
that I would have killed for when I was drinking.
Right.
And I think that
That's
is
a good point. We're actually having fun.
We're having fun, and
this is a
and I think that is one of the most and I think that is one of the most underrated, talked about things about getting sober is that it's supposed to be fun.
There's no way, Judah, that you could have ever sat in a room with two beautiful
Oh my God!
women
Can I tell you something?
and be able to talk. Without
Just
being
own it.
sober and on the radio.
I constantly. That's exactly right, and it's something I constantly talk about. I used to live in Arizona, which was the worst place to be a Jewish alcoholic, and and I used to be on this.
You're Jewish?
Yes, I am.
Yes,
It's the glasses that gave it away, and
No.
right, it's the Judah, and I used to in Mesa. There's a place right by ASU, Arizona State University. There's a coffee shop called the Coffee Plantation, and I remember I used to be there on Saturday nights at probably midnight, drunk, just so when you're drunk and you're not even fun. You're past the point of normal drunk. You're just
Down
please.
syndrome drunk?
Yes, down. And I used to stare.
Been there.
I used to stare into this coffee plantation. I used to see these beautiful women, and all I wanted to do was be sitting in there having coffee with them. The problem is when you have alcoholism, you
Has
can
anybody
never.
got a tissue?
I know this is like my hallmark moment, but when you have alcoholism, you can never get to the other side of the glass. When you're in active alcoholism, you could never sit at that table with those people just drinking coffee, having a fun time. When I got sober, all I wanted was a Blockbuster night. All I wanted was just to have a few
Yeah.
DVDs,
Totally.
sit at
Yep.
home with some popcorn,
Yep.
and be free,
Wholesome.
and just be like know where my money is.
Yeah.
I mean, how great is it? You wake up sober. You might not be rich, but you know where your driver's license is.
Yeah.
You know where your
Totally.
car is, and
scooter.
or scooter in my case. And problem with the scooter is, those turn signals.
Oh my God, he goes off.
The problem with I if I'm at night and I'm at a lane where the turn signal, the scooter doesn't weigh enough to get me that light. Getting back to it, we're having
Amber,
fun.
can you
I just
dive
want to throw out keywords and see where he goes.
You could do that. Just do it. Keep on doing it.
Banana. Go.
Bananarama. one of the great bands of the
Cruel Summer.
1980s.
Oh,
Cruel
see, now-
Summer from the Karate Kid.
Oh, the two of you are scaring me.
Yeah.
Right?
It's a cruel summer.
When
Um,
you're Daniel LaRusso.
Every time I hear the name Johnny, I want to scream, "You're a cream puff."
He is a cream puff.
But
He was also a Cobra Kai.
he's a Cobra Kai. But but just so you know, we are in a radio where there are microphones, and even if you whisper, you really
I was
can't talk
diagnosing
badly.
you. I was
But
You're like, I have crabs.
so getting back to
Right.
it, sobriety is supposed to be fun,
Yes, it is.
and you have a love which is shooting guns.
I do.
And you are able
I
to,
can see
thank
that.
God you're sober shooting guns, but it's one of those things that when you get sober, you're supposed to live your dreams. You're supposed to live your fantasies, your everything. And I think a lot of people don't do that. I think a lot of people stay in AA meetings and are scared to live life.
Yeah, that's true. That they forget that AA is a design for living as opposed
Right.
to just AA in
Right.
itself, an
It's-
end in itself.
It's
yeah.
it's a bridge back to life. We're in the studio tonight with Suzy Mccoppin,
Amber Tozer.
Amber Tozer, I was going to say it right, and of course, the great Andrew Spanswick.
And the infamous Judah.
Yes, the Judah, come on.
The Judah? Really? You need a the? That's like the Jabba the Hutt.
I always tell people they go, "You're talking in third person." I'm like, "No, I'm talking in fourth person." I like trying to convince them.
We're going out for a break. Our phone number is
877-830-830. That's 877-830-830. You're listening to Clean Radio. That's Clean with a K.
See you in a couple minutes.
Now your hosts for Clean Radio, Andrew and Judah.
So here we are. It's Andrew, and I'm back with Judah, who's gone back to his crazy dancing.
The Killers, man.
And when people get to see this online at cleanradio.com, they'll get to see that you've been slowly shifting your seat closer and closer to Suzy throughout the show.
It's the director.
You can
It's
blame
Patrick.
the video guy, but
Patrick goes like this to me. He goes,
yeah, you know.
maybe he was like doing like I want her, and I thought he meant move closer to you.
C blocking.
Right?
And
No, your plan was
I am
foiled.
sorry, Patrick, but
I'll give you a
I
lap
am in a
dance anyway.
committed relationship, so
Well, as committed as they get for you, right?
you got nothing. You got nothing to worry about. We are in the studio.
Listen, you got to drop Niagara Falls and get with the hero. Yeah.
It's one of my favorite lines, though. Favorite lines in a movie.
I know, right? Mine
So
too.
for those that are joining us in the second hour,
Yes.
our guests tonight are
Suzy Mccoppin,
And?
writer from Playboy magazine, and also famous from the Courtyard by the Marriott commercials here shown in L.A. And we have
and a very good non-tangential comedian with expert driving skills across the Golden Gate Bridge.
Amber Tozer.
Amber Tozer.
It was the Brooklyn Bridge.
The reason I got your name,
Bay Bridge.
the reason I got that name
Oh,
easily
sorry.
that time was
It was the
because
Bay Bridge, not the Golden Gate Bridge. Did I get that wrong?
Bay Bridge.
it's the Bay Bridge.
Wow, that's even harder. Right?
Yeah, but I was like, I don't know.
She took it down.
I made it.
Was it with one eye closed? Or?
Yeah. I only remember bits and pieces of it. You know when you're in a blackout and you can
Right.
sort of like
Yes.
pick out moments?
It's 5 years of my life.
Blacked out.
Wow.
Yeah. But I made it. And then
That's
I
good.
went.
Did you get sober and then just stay sober, or did you relapse?
I stayed sober. I had 7 months without AA.
Right.
Nice.
When I was living in New York. I was dating a guy who didn't really drink and was like sick of me, and so I got sober for him for about 7 months. And I went to one meeting and I was like, this is weird. I don't get it. But I didn't go out. I didn't do anything. I went to work and I went home. I stopped doing comedy. I stopped doing.
This was in San Francisco?
No,
Oh.
New York. I lived
She moved to New York.
New York for 7 years, and so I did try to get sober, but I wasn't. I'd go to work and then I'd go home and just be like. And if I did go out, I was so petrified.
Must have been winter. Was it winter in New York?
It's always winter in New
It
York.
was winter.
Yeah, you don't stay out long
I
in New
started
York in
drinking
winter.
again in the springtime. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was warm.
Yep, there you go.
I was warm and full of fear.
So we have 4 New Yorkers here, basically.
That's true.
Well, you don't really count because it was Ithaca.
I lived in
but-
New York City, though.
Oh, okay, so that counts. But I love when people say that they're from New York and you're like, where? They're like, Newburgh.
My
And I'm
first-
like, relax
No,
on the
you're
New
not.
York.
My first wife grew up in Manhattan. Does
Well,
that
where
count?
are they supposed to say?
Say you're from the outskirts of New York.
New York State,
New
I
York
would
State.
say.
New
New
York
York.
State, right.
Well,
New York
But
State.
nowhere
Right.
else do you have to qualify that.
Right.
You don't have to be like Michigan State.
I don't know.
Colorado State.
Nevada, you should.
You're in college.
Right.
Yeah, fair enough,
Right?
yeah.
And there's nowhere to qualify with Nebraska. You're just screwed.
But unless you're, college football. College football.
That's like telling
Yeah?
someone you're an alcoholic.
Cornhuskers.
if you're
So,
from
but
Nebraska.
that's yeah. I guess, or you're all the way down at the end of the state by the river.
One of the worst movies that could have been funny was a movie called, and I can't remember the name of it. It was with John Travolta and that guy Aryeh Gross, where it was in like 88 or 89 where they got taken to a Nebraska town by the Russians to create like a regular town. Like, so never mind.
Where do you watch these things?
I can't remember the name of
That's
it.
like beyond a Netflix account. That's like some sort of like.
I saw it
Right?
on.
That's-
You see some of the best movies
That's
at
like some
cable.
right wing, like you've got to
Propaganda
see
footage.
what's going to happen. Yeah, that's like some serious.
Okay, so we are a
serious
show about
malicious-
addiction. No.
Are you a member of a militia?
I actually am. It's called the Julisha. Hey now,
Oh, God.
holla.
Wow. Okay, this might be our last show. So in honor of our last show.
You know what's great about not. We have committed tonight to 13 more weeks.
I know
at
we
least.
have. We're picked up for another
13 weeks, and that's extremely exciting.
Yeah.
And that means we've done something right. Not much,
Yeah.
but
Congratulations.
thank you. You're a kind soul.
Way to go.
Amber Tozer.
We're excited about it. Definitely.
And the number here is 877-8-830-830, 877-8-830-830. You could also listen, well, you could also find us at KLEANradio.com,
Right. So before we went off on your tangential talk again,
which was brought on by the guest.
which brought okay,
My fault.
blame it on Amber.
I am blaming
So
on
Amber, you were talking about how you went to AA, and then you kind of scared you a little bit.
Pardon me.
Yeah, I went to 1 or 2 meetings and I didn't like it. It freaked me out. I didn't understand the steps and the God thing really. I was like, I just won't drink. And then I started drinking again.
Right.
And I couldn't stop drinking, and I did that for a few more years. And I moved to LA, drank here for a couple of years, and then my last drink was in the San Francisco night.
Wow.
On Judah
So-
Street, oddly enough. As she was on the Judah line.
Oh boy.
Here we go. Go ahead.
No, there's a
You
Judah
know,
Street.
Amber's a professional comedian.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. I just play one.
You're getting crickets.
Now he's on.
You got
Now he's on.
crickets tonight,
He's,
Judah.
he's on now.
Fantastic.
While the stuff is going across the radio, the
I
engineer
want to
doesn't
be that
catch it.
guy.
Right?
Yeah, that's awesome.
So go on. So your last drink was in San Francisco.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was obviously after you got off the bridge.
Yeah, I made it over the bridge, went to a friend's house in Oakland and did coke, and then I woke up. I didn't do anything stupid. We were just talking, and I remember they all left. I was staying with just a few friends, and they left to walk a dog, and I was left in the apartment, and we had done a little bit of coke, and then I did the rest of it while they were out, and it wasn't mine.
Wow.
I supposedly hate coke, but I was like, oh, I'm just going to do the rest of this because I don't
great
feel
way
good.
to make friends and influence
Right.
people.
$1,000 later, she ran away from their apartment.
And they were so I don't even know if they noticed that we were just all so messed up, and then like I passed out and woke up on an air mattress, and I was like, that's it. And I had to drive home that day. I drove to Los Angeles, so I was like a coke hangover, driving from San Francisco to LA, and I just cried the entire time, and I was like, something is so wrong with me. And I just was like, I gave up, and then I went to AA the next day.
Wow.
Yeah. And I haven't had a drink since, so.
Nice.
Well, congratulations.
Yeah.
Where's our engineer now with clapping?
He's actually answering a call. We have another call.
Yes, we do. Exciting.
Oh, we do?
Yes, just for you, Amber.
No, I doubt it.
Amber.
Well, it's not for Judah. I can
It's
guarantee you
definitely
that.
not for me.
This is a hate call.
Please no. Yes. So, I'm just curious. Where did you go in New York that time? And I think it's something very interesting you talked about. I think a lot of people experience this, and it's something me and you, Andrew, and I discuss a lot. Is God in AA? And it can sometimes frighten some people away. When I was 18 years old in Florida, I was in a rehab, and I remember they closed out the meeting with the Lord's Prayer. And I grew up in an extremely Jewish environment. I was not familiar with the Lord's Prayer. And I remember thinking to myself, oh, great, another club I don't belong in. And I mean, they're all saying it, and I'm sitting there, Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. And it freaked me out. And to this day, I don't
say
say
Hala be my name.
Hala be thy name.
Hala be my name.
And it's actually Chala.
delicious.
Chala be my
That's
name.
what you said.
And but I don't.
You were included. You just didn't.
To this day, I don't. We actually lost the call. To this day, I actually
Good
don't.
move, caller.
I don't say the Lord's Prayer, and I want to tell people out there. I think it's important that you don't have to say. Going to any 12-step group, you don't have to. You don't have to listen to everything that is said. You don't. Somebody says, "Hey, what's there's this common theme that never say no to an AA commitment, or never say no to a commitment. Really sleep with me," and people always say no, and I say that as a joke. But there's this theme that I have to listen to everything you say, and I'm like, but it's not in the book.
Yeah,
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that.
I'm a supporter of AA.
No, so am I.
And yet there are some things that really concern me about it. And I think it's interesting we have two women in, so this is a good time for me to bring this topic up. But it's been my experience from a lot of the women that I've spoken to that have attended a lot of AA meetings, especially when they're newcomers, that they get kind of preyed on by guys that have a lot of time. And, they getting hit on, and everybody goes after them. And it's like at a very vulnerable time for them.
Just making sure Susie's not going like this.
Yeah. Is that what it was?
Yeah, and if
You didn't get her
Very
name
subtle
right,
approach.
Judah.
Yeah.
Very subtle approach.
And what do you two
Spit
think
on
about
me.
that? Do you think that is that a kind of common experience, or have you seen that in AA? Or
Well, I always go to AA meetings looking like this. So it's like I honestly No, I'm like really, you guys, I'm super hot. I have like long hair and my makeup.
You're like that Freddie. You're like that Freddie Prince movie.
But I know
totally.
I there is like a meeting that I won't go to because there's like two guys that make me feel uncomfortable. It's like nonstop.
Right.
They call me and they ask me to dinner and they try to make it about AA, but it's not.
Right.
So I just
yeah, that's lame.
it's like, let's talk about sobriety, but let's do it at this really nice
Naked.
Italian
They're like,
restaurant.
tell me your fourth step, baby.
Yeah. So I felt a little uncomfortable but I honestly show up in my pajamas and I don't, and
you two in the pajamas? She's smoking crack in her pajamas. You're going to
There's a
AA
theme
meet. There's
here.
a pajama
Slumber
thing.
party.
Was it hard for you
What?
with being hit on, or?
I can't. I guess. Yeah, but I mean, I think that most alcoholic women have father issues, so I was sort of basking in the attention of it.
Yeah.
I don't know that I can complain. But yeah, I mean, I definitely was like cornered a lot, and then you feel weird going to that meeting. And then also something I am just kind of recently reflecting on, about 4 years ago, I started going to the Rodeo meeting, which is a fancy schmancy meeting, and like I'd say 1 out of every 3 guys would try to kiss me on the lips.
Wow.
Yeah, really annoying. So now when I go to that meeting, I always, when I greet people, I'm like, hey. For people at home, I have my head
lean your head
tilted
way
back.
back.
You put a fake herpy on your lip.
Yeah, fake herpy.
Isn't that weird? The
mustache.
most conservative meeting is the most lecherous.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
What do they do?
Yeah, look
They're
at the
like,
Catholic
hi,
Church.
and then
Yeah, they just go right in for it.
Wow.
Oh my God.
That's
Yeah, it's not
But
cool.
again, we're
but
not.
then there's something about me that's exuding, that kind of like availability, So I like when I first moved to New York.
That's like blaming the victim.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah.
But this is interesting. When the first year I moved to New York, every cab driver would ask me for my number.
Really?
And then after about a year, they stopped. But so I was obviously bleeding, some
Oh,
kind of like
interesting.
vulnerability.
Yeah.
But that's part of what I'm talking about is that when people first get sober, they are vulnerable. They're looking for something. They're
Yeah.
looking for an answer to this, feeling of desperation and emptiness that they have that they've been filling with drugs and alcohol. And they're going there to AA for support. And then if you're female, and then there's all these guys hitting on you, that's not a very supportive environment necessarily.
True, but it's a gray area because Chris Rock has a really funny joke about Anita Hill. Remember who hit on
Clarence
Anita?
Thomas.
Thank you, Clarence Thomas. And he was like, if Clarence Thomas looked like If Clarence Thomas looked like Denzel Washington, there would have been no issue. You know what I mean? So everyone's entitled
Right.
to think you're attractive and
Yeah.
make a move on you. It's kind of they don't know that you think they're hideous. So
Right.
there's some, what if you are crazy about the guy, and then that's going to make
Yeah.
your sobriety.
We both knew somebody that was a little
what
crazy.
if you? Yeah.
Who
Write down some figures.
Yeah, but again, I love the program of Alcoholics Anonymous to save my life. But there are flaws. There are flaws in every program, and it's okay to talk about it. And I think for years these things haven't, and that's one of the things we wanted to set out with the show, was to talk about problems that arise as you're getting sober.
Right.
That it's okay to say out loud, hey, that makes me uncomfortable. Because we used to go to a meeting in New York where for a year we would all go out
By
to
the
eat.
way, listeners, Judah just progressed to touching Suzy on her shoulder.
I'm not complaining.
We would,
I'm not good at that.
we would
We're
go
at
to
second
this.
base.
We would go to this
Second base.
meeting. We would go to this meeting, and afterwards, a lot of people would go out to eat, and we go to the Sidewalk Cafe, or a few different places.
The
and-
wrist keeps coming like right by my breast.
So you're
like,
sitting
that's
really
close,
close to me.
I know, yeah, it's
And
just very inadvertent.
is all this getting
Okay.
And I remember
Patrick's having the most fun, our cameraman.
He's gonna sell it to Skinemax after.
Right? He's like,
And,
he's like, you don't even have to
Few
pay me
markets.
tonight. He's like, forget it, I'm good.
and he's like texting people. I got some great video. And blackmail. And so I used to go to this meeting, and I remember sitting there for, we'd all go out to eat, whether it was Tiffany's, where there was a bunch of different places.
Oh yeah, they had the challah bread.
And I'll never forget. You want to hear one of the greatest lines of all time? And
I don't know.
think
Why don't we have another tangential
No, you
word
might have
from
been
Amber?
there. Amber, we were all sitting
I
there.
just sit here and wait.
I
Like,
touched her again, and we were all sitting there, and this guy goes to me, "Will you invest in my meal?"
Avi.
You see, I didn't even have to say it.
I love Avi.
She was there that night. An AA guy says to me,
pretty
"Will
sharp.
you?" And I said, "What's my return?"
Minimal.
Like, yeah. And so I remember we used to go out to eat every night, and I remember after a year of doing this, a joke was said one night, and it was an anti-Semitic joke. And I remember looking at these guys.
sorry.
I remember looking now, and it wasn't Suzy. And I remember looking around, going, "Ugh," and it served a purpose for a year.
Right.
And I said I paid my bill, and I got up, and I never hung out with those people again. And they're not symbolic of the what's important is the program of AA is the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous.
Right.
And to me that's the basic text. And if I hear other people's opinions or ideas, I say, is it in the basic text? Because if it's not, it's just your opinion. And I think it's very important because for me it saved my life. I wouldn't be here tonight if I was at it, but it's okay to question. It's okay to look at the program and say, is that working for me if that's not?
Yeah, I
but
like
that
that.
hasn't been the tradition of AA.
No, it's not, and it's been. But again, we were talking about breaking the A in anonymity, and it's in a new era. It is. We're in an era where people are getting here younger, because of the drugs out there are harder. What are we supposed to do? You have to. One of the things, that hopefully will separate Alcoholics Anonymous or any 12-step group from religion is that we change with the times.
Well, that's one of the things I like to talk about a lot on the show is that, 75 years ago, psychopharmacology and the development of psychiatry and the behavioral health in general was very limited.
Right.
In past 75 years, there's been an incredible change in what we know about the brain, and what we know about the mind, what we know about the science of addiction. So we're in a different time where it's not, the stigma doesn't necessarily have to be there. The abilities and difference to identify underlying psychiatric illnesses, like as simple as depression and anxiety, they can lead to self-medicating through alcohol and drugs. We're in a whole different era. And one of the things that I've always noted is with the last version of the big book is that the doctor's opinion hasn't been updated in a long time.
But because I don't believe, but I don't believe that the doctor's opinion is necessarily in there for the purposes of psychiatric help. I believe the reason the doctor's opinion was to take away the stigma.
I love the doctor's
It's one
opinion.
of my. I was reading it the other day. It's one of my favorite.
It's what sold me almost
I agree.
Not sold me, but made me understand that I have a different mind. Right. Just by this doctor and him saying that this is the only thing that he's seen.
Right.
Work.
That's what I think the amazing thing about that story isn't him giving a philosophy on mental health.
Right. But once again, this is to my point.
Right.
Right. That this is your mind and it's the only way it works. And we know that 90 million Americans are abusing drugs or alcohol.
And around the world.
Just abusing and not necessarily are alcoholic. We know that depression and anxiety affects annually 51% of the population. Right. So we have, really a pandemic of mental illness occurring at all sorts of levels, which now is highly treatable, while years ago it wasn't.
Right. They tried treating it. I mean, Bill Wilson used LSD to try to treat his depression. I mean,
that might have been one of the reasons.
They at the time they thought, LSD might have been they're using it right now to help treat people. Basically, we were talking about this before.
MDMA.
Right.
Oh, ecstasy,
for heroin, the Ibogaine.
Oh, well, Ibogaine. In Mexico.
In Mexico, they're giving
using hallucinogens to
detox people with a shaman.
From amphetamine, from narcotics, I'm sorry.
And we're in the studio tonight with the lovely and talented comedic styles of Amber Tozer.
Who throws out words.
And I could
for
just
you to go on tangential
go with
rants.
it.
Amber, word?
Train.
It's a great band. Drops of Jupiter.
Excellent.
And I've been a Train fan actually for a really long time. It's an amazing skill I have.
This is something I didn't know you possessed. Actually,
Yeah.
a talent.
Yeah,
That's
you
a
can.
skill I
This is
have.
improv radio.
Oh, when you
Right?
listen to 93.1, you know how they do like the montage of like
What's
little songs.
93.1? What is that?
It's a
Is
radio
that the
station.
greatest? Is that like the?
It's a competitor.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Is that the?
Nice plug.
Is that the 80s,
welcome, Mom.
90s, and today?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love
but
that
they do a
station.
montage. They'll do like Van Halen and then like
Right.
and I always know every band. And I'm like, how can I make money off
It's
that?
actually a new segment on the show we're doing.
Yeah, let's do
You
that.
Just-
can't make money off it other than Judah paying you to have the discussion.
All right, I'm in.
You're in.
And we're also in the studio with.
And you have to do it on his scooter while he smokes.
Right, just
least
see
when
how
we
much I
stop.
could do on the scooter. And we're in the studio tonight with a great author, writer, contributor to Playboy magazine, Suzy Mccoppin.
Yeah, so Suzy, tell us a little bit more about yourself and like what your writing and tell us like about it, what you do.
What is it that I do? Well, as I mentioned, I wrote a sex column.
Right.
And then
Very
that's-
hands-on, obviously.
Clearly. And then that morphed into kind of like the party girl, which is like I make kind of like video vignettes, and then I travel around the country and host parties.
So how does like being sober affect that? I mean, that's obviously you're in sort of the lair.
Yeah, it's just a big fake out.
Yeah?
Total fake out. Yeah.
And so you like
She drinks a
play
lot of
into it?
water
A lot of water.
and
Yeah.
gets
Right.
on her knees.
Make it
I
look
know,
like
you know,
vodka?
when people are
dare
when
you.
people are in ecstasy, right? Don't they
Look at
crouch on the
at Judah
floor?
trying to save himself. Judah, there is no redemption.
Yeah, from being on your knees.
No,
And he moves an inch closer.
I was in a club when I got sober.
Eating
I was
eggs.
thirsty and my knees were hurting, so I remember crouching down on the floor and drinking water. 2 minutes later, like somebody who comes over, you got any E? I was like, No, I don't have any E. You know, and I remember
because of the covert.
Yeah, and I was drinking a lot of
operation.
water, and I was down.
Okay,
It was like my spinal column thing, or whatever it was. Okay,
All right,
so
Amber, another word.
Flugelbinder. What movie is that from?
Oh.
you got me on
Wow,
that one.
this is a
Cocktail.
stumper.
Cocktail. Oh, I should have known that.
What does that mean?
I can name the song from Cocktail, but I can't.
What, the Beach Boys song?
Wasn't there another
Yeah.
song when he was flipping the bottles in the bar?
I'm sure. Oh yeah, the Boogie Woogie. It was the Beatles.
Wait, I want to hear how you handle the parties.
Yes.
Like how you're always.
Oh well, this is funny. I had to go to Singapore recently to host a party for the Formula One races.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize they were really vague about my duties. I love saying duties. So when I got there,
I'll tell you the Freudian explanation of that in a few minutes.
Oh please! I already know the origination of crap.
Thank you, Andrew, for that.
You're welcome.
So I got there. I'm at the party. I'm like, "Do you want me on the mic? I mean, do you want me to be weird?" And they were just, "Don't worry, don't worry, don't." And then it eventually becomes very clear that my job is to drink. Like I am supposed to drink with all these people and
Wow.
just drink all night and drink. And they gave me my own bottle of vodka, my own table, just everything.
Wow.
So and they're like toasting and just watching me, right? Watching
Right.
me. So what I did all night was just drink, spit it out, drink, spit it out, drink, spit it out. And I gave myself
That's
AIDS.
tough.
I wasn't going to say anything else about that.
You put it in. You put a drink in your mouth.
Oh yeah, am I out?
No.
Well, I have five months. Yeah.
Wow.
That's tough. My big thing
Would
is
you ever feel comfortable being like, "Can you fill this up with water?" Like find somebody cool.
No, I could do that. I mean, I only had to put it.
Suzy,
in my mouth.
actually, aren't you sad?
Right.
You're like unhappy you asked that question. How do you deal with parties? Suzy's answer, not very well.
Not very well.
No, I'm curious.
drunk right
to be
now.
Like,
I have to go there again, you Amy. Okay, what?
I think if it was just in my mouth, I would just like.
Oh, just cut it right there. That's all we need. That's all we need.
End
That's fine.
scene.
And here we go.
Yeah.
Go to
The number here is 877-830-830. The number here is 877-830-830. We're in the studio with Amber Tozer and Suzy Mccoppin. And you're listening
Who
to
has recently
Clean
been disqualified.
Radio. We'll be back in a few.
Oh, no.
Judah's coming in from his smoking addiction, doing his goofy dance once again. It's really, I think anybody that actually watches us is just gonna.
I'm just gonna say this because I think the topic tonight has been a lot of. Yeah, because I got high. Sing it, Afro Man. Yeah.
You gotta have the chicken in there, right?
Yeah. But I think one of the most important things is I couldn't have done that before I stopped drinking. And I know that might sound corny, but I was this like scared little 22-year-old kid.
Couldn't have done what? Sorry.
Couldn't have. Well, I couldn't have walked in just dancing.
Oh.
Couldn't have walked in
That
just
sweet
like
move
just
you
being
just did?
free.
Could we just
Yeah,
go back to that?
yeah, I know that was like the Elaine dance from Seinfeld.
But Elaine was
Found the
free.
answer to our
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah.
You know,
Give Judah a beer.
I do think of those like moments. I think of those moments when I was drinking and I either hungover or obsessing about the drink, where I could not. I was just like doing the minimum of what I could do to get through that moment. But yeah, for you to like walk in and be a goofball
Yeah.
and to have that freedom and to sort of.
I don't
know
care.
what you mean. I think about that all the time. Being like, wow, I can't believe I just walked in the room and said stuff
Yeah, it's called being.
without a drink.
Right, I actually functioned today.
Yeah.
It's one of the most freeing feelings, and I'm sure everybody here, maybe not you, will be able to, just because you had a lot more. I was scared of the mail when I was drinking.
Yeah.
I had a year's supply of envelopes. And one of the scariest things I ever encountered in sobriety, this is years later, I'm walking down the street with a friend of mine named Ben and this woman, and she's telling this really sad story that she lost her kid. And the whole reason was because she didn't open up the mail.
Wow.
So she missed the court dates.
Actually, I'm gonna
wow.
say something about my wife. When I met her, she was just newly sober, and I went over to her place, and there was this giant cabinet and I opened it up, and it was just all unopened mail, right?
Yeah, because we believe as alcoholics that if we don't open the mail, it never came.
Right? Yeah, right.
Right.
Like,
It'll go away.
right, like if we don't go to the doctor, we're not sick. And I found out that if you don't go to the dentist, you might get sober with 18 cavities. And the reason I always talk about this stuff is because I think when you get sober, or the alcoholic minds think they're the only ones that think like this. And the thing is, you're not. They're not. Well, these are all things that we go through.
Well, I mean, a big part of alcoholism or drinking or drug abuse is the escapist element. So certainly, if you're engaging in behavior that allows you to escape, the mail is certainly one thing you're going to avoid and escape from. All you got to do is get it into a drawer occasionally.
And the worst was
once a month, right?
Also, answering machines were the worst too. Answering machines when you just wanted to turn your phone off, but the old school answering machines that you actually heard the beep.
The one you still use?
Yes. Yeah, right. I still have like I'm still on 8 tracks.
It was in the 80s. I mean, you know.
That's why I love the Killers. And because they're
but
so
they came
80s.
out in the.
But they're very 80s.
They're a throwback. Yeah.
They're a throwback,
band,
you know.
yeah.
And but I think that's so important that people talk about this stuff and joke about this stuff, because I used to be embarrassed about it. I really was. Well,
there is a fear. I mean, people that get newly sober often running from the fear of their taxes, fear of the mail, what might be in the mail, fear of things catching up with them,
Right.
mistakes they've made, tickets.
But here's the thing: they're not going to get better by not opening the mail.
Right. Well, it's the saying: face everything and recover.
Right.
Fear.
And we were when I was in your treatment center last week. I'm not gonna, with one of your clients, and one of your clients was like, had been escaping for a little bit, missing, and he was scared to call his manager.
He was avoiding things.
He was avoiding things, and I said, let's call him right now.
Right.
And he was so scared that they were going to be like, you stink, or I hate you, I never want to manage you again, and so me and therapist, what's the therapist's name? The younger guy, Steve. I can never remember his name. David. And we sat at a table with him, and we, he got his phone out of lockup, and we called his manager, and his manager was like on the phone with him. They're both crying. She's so happy that he's getting sober and getting help for himself. And afterwards he's like, thank you so much. And the only reason I was able to tell him to do that was because people in the program have done that for me, and because I've been there.
Right.
And another hallmark moment with Judah.
We haven't gotten our Barbara Walters moment yet.
That was pretty close.
I'm gonna get Barbara. I'm gonna get it out of Judah though.
You'll get a Barbara Walters.
I'm gonna get him crying when
you want to know when you get me crying when you talk about Field of Dreams.
Kick him in the nuts.
Field of Dreams.
Field of Dreams always.
I'm gonna cry now.
Field of Dreams. Even when I start thinking about it, I get teary-eyed.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I and I always say this, and when I celebrate, when I have it for my birthdays and I get up there, I always tell this one story. My favorite scene in Field of Dreams is at the end where he's having the catch with his dad. And I think a lot of people, guys especially, when they come into the program, they've had issues with their dad.
Yeah.
And they're having a catch, and he's having a catch with his dad, and his dad goes, "Is this heaven?" And he goes, "No, this is Iowa." And he goes, "What's heaven like?" And Kevin Costner says to his dad, "What's heaven like?" And he goes, "It was heaven like." And he goes, "It's what's Kevin like?" And right. And he goes, he goes, "It's a place where all your dreams come true." And he sees his kid playing on the swing. He sees his wife, and he looks at the baseball field that he crazily built, and he said, "Maybe." Did
you write the screenplay, Judah? Or are we going through the whole thing?
And he goes, "Maybe
and
this
then
is."
What happened?
And maybe this. But I'm about to cry. Wait, you cut off my Barbara Walters moment, damn you all. And yes, and when I look at my life in that, and somebody said to me, "Is this heaven?" And I look around, and I think we could all identify. Suzy's living her dreams. You're living your dreams. I mean, you are. You're married. You've built an amazing place. You're loved by a couple guys, and Amber's. You're living your dreams. You're on the road. You're performing, and I can't think of a better thing to say about 12-step things of what it's about.
Yeah.
Than that.
Well said.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think you get the tools also to deal with things when they don't work out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When I didn't get into NYU. I remember I went to a meeting and I was crying, and this woman Annette put her arm around me and said, "It's going to be all right.
Right, you'll get a scooter one day.
You'll get a scooter one day. You'll be living in the Oaks, known as Sherman Oaks, holla, and you'll be living your dreams." And you know what? I am. We were talking about this last week. We have a lot. We have very simple lives. Both of us do. We both have. We both live in very modestly. You drive a little bit of a nicer car than I do, but nothing.
Well, I drive a car.
Yeah, right. You drive a car, and it's. Listen, nobody ever calls me up and asks me to help them pack or move.
Do you have? Is it like a Vespa?
No, it's a Honda Ruckus.
No, it's like it's not even like cool.
I want it to be
like,
a Vespa.
It's this. First of all, it's camouflage, which I don't understand. That means like
awesome.
it means you're like dying to get hit, right? You're just like
as I drive through the
blending
canyons
in,
at night.
right? And a camouflage teeny scooter that he drives through the canyons. I mean. We should have an over/under bet on how long Judah's going to live.
Okay, do one on Charlie Sheen, not me.
There's nothing cooler, if I may say.
Than a man with a scooter.
He's going to have a catch. He's playing Field of Dreams. Stop, please. Get it off. Get it off.
He's crying. I think we got tears. It's happening. Look. It's amazing. He's crying.
That scene just gets me. I mean, it just gets me.
Wow,
It does. I can't. I just can't. I can't even think about it.
What happens? Like, what goes on? You think of your dad?
I think of my dad, and I think about, one of the things I've been afforded in sobriety is getting those second chances.
Right.
And being able to make amends, living amends. Okay, let's get off this subject. I love my
Amber, new word?
I like this stuff.
Don't say dad or field.
The father.
Coffee.
I love coffee. I love 7-Eleven coffee, actually. It's very good. I miss Dunkin' Donuts tremendously.
There are no Dunkin' Donuts in California. I don't understand that.
It's I don't understand it either.
Right? It's a
because
huge
the
market.
donuts are hard to make. So it would just sort of be like Dunkin'.
What kind of idiocy is that,
What,
Judah?
really?
Donuts are hard to make?
It's the same
Have you
thing.
ever made a donut?
It's the same thing with bagels. The water, the air,
Have I ever
air.
made a donut?
They have to get the hole just right.
The
Go shooting your mouth off.
the air, the hole in the donut.
I just love this. He's bitching me out about.
As like I'm like
making donuts.
recovering
You got
from
a
my
lot of
field.
hair,
She's
right?
defending me. As I'm.
I know, because now she's actually smothered by you.
Out-
Outside of it.
Out here, it wouldn't be Dunkin' Donuts. It would just be Dunkin'.
Yeah, right. Oh boy. Oh boy. Show 13, folks.
But no, I love
we're
Field
taking,
of Dreams.
We're taking
And
some liberties. with
Suzy
Show
was in the
13.
middle of talking about something, or we
Now
were.
she's eating a donut.
Yes, she's just eating now.
Suzy's one of those people that makes eating granola bars look good.
Oh boy.
Oh god.
Buddy.
No, say
If I had a nickel.
Some well-built guy walking out of a gym eating a protein bar.
That does it better for you than Amber?
No, It's, Amber, you're getting the
Now
name.
here's
No,
Amber.
Amber. Right, yeah.
Did
We're
you
in the
get that?
studio.
Amber,
with-
Suzy,
we're in-
Judah.
We're in the
What's
studio
the
with
difference?
Suzy Mccoppin, writer for Playboy, and Amber Tozer, famous comedian from Last Comic Standing, and
This was good.
this is James Oldman.
There we go. Are we gonna get it? We're gonna get tears.
It's it's past the
People will
point.
come, Ray.
People will come.
People will most definitely come.
I don't know. I love this movie. I don't know what it is about that movie. It's not just me. It's every guy
very
in America.
tender.
No, I
it's-
didn't like the movie.
Every
honestly.
non-sociopath guy.
It's many
I-
guys in America.
I actually couldn't stand the movie.
That's because you have no feelings.
That's very bold.
That's because-
I thought it was the most
Sociopath.
boring movie I'd ever seen.
Good to know. I won't see it.
you've never seen Field of Dreams?
have not.
Oh my god.
First of all, it was just boring. Second of all, Kevin Costner's never really been a big fan of.
He's never
I've
done
never
it for
been a
you.
big fan of Kevin Costner. Waterworld. I mean, come on.
Come on.
Yeah, but Robin Hood, man.
Robin Hood.
The
Really?
Untouchables.
Oh my gosh.
No Way Out with Sean Young when she was.
Let's just say our tastes in films are very different.
Yes. No, we actually like some of the same stuff. Let's not go that crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I like action, like drug
Yeah.
kind of.
Oh, I like
Yeah.
action. Yeah.
Right?
I
mean,
love that. New
and
Jack
I especially
City.
like
New Jack City.
York.
New Jack City was great.
And I like
So good.
crazy, like French. Like, have you ever seen Irreversible?
Okay, that's because you're
Oh
pretentious.
my god, I love that
Right?
scene.
It's like the
That
most
rape scene is
outrageous,
so hot.
right? It's
Total
9
fodder.
9.5 minute, like
Oh, damn.
digitized rape scene.
Yeah.
Like only
Hot.
it's like this French foreign film. It's unbelievable.
And we're in a
Monica
whole new.
Bellucci.
What's it called?
It's called Irreversible. It's,
I've never
it's,
seen it.
it's,
It took Andrew 3
it-
weeks
there's
to
actually
watch.
the first movie was called I Stand Alone, and then the sequel was Irreversible. It's Jasper Noe. It's a French director.
Talking about somebody that remembers a movie
I love
very
that
well.
like Amber wasn't interested until you said 9-minute rape scene.
I know. I was like, what?
Dear Pocket
That's
Rocket.
dark.
That is very
It's actually
dark.
a really interesting movie.
It was uplifting.
Yeah, well, it deals with a lot of interesting issues. It deals with life
uplifting.
and death, and it goes
And
from
Monica
like
Bellucci.
these deaths for it all the way to birth and stuff. It's a very cool film.
Yeah, it's
Nobody's seen it except for me, I guess.
Right,
but-
like you enjoyed Division.
Yeah,
you
me-
actually listened to Joy Division
While
while you
watching
watched
that
it, while
film,
watching
right?
that movie. We were talking like Andrew's a huge Joy Division fan. Him and the 6 other people.
Oh, okay.
And Joy
Obviously
Division.
non-Jewish.
I didn't. What?
Well, it's rumored because you know what the Joy Division is.
No.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
in,
was-
in Nazi Germany, it was where
was-
they would put the Jewish girls for the
They were
soldiers
hot.
to
They
rape.
used them as
Yeah.
Really?
concubines.
Jeez.
And
yeah.
it was Joy Division.
That was the name.
and
Joy
New
Division.
Order, because Joy Division became New,
New
Order,
Order, right.
which is obviously Hitlerian, if you will.
That's a little scary.
Yeah, but they
Yeah, but it was used.
they make some fat beats.
Yeah, it was used. It wasn't used like pro-Nazi. It was
Right.
used.
How do we know that?
Is the lead
Well,
singer of
'cause it
is the
was
lead
well
singer of New
documented.
What's the lead singer of New Order's name?
Ian Curtis, but he hung himself in his
Oh,
kitchen.
that's right.
We have to go through this
Was he
every
an
show.
addict?
Well, no, I thought you said
Yeah.
no because
Oh,
I
yeah.
He
assumed-
actually had epilepsy.
I had his-
was on phenobarbital.
and he
Oh, wow.
started shaking when he
And
was shooting up.
Yeah.
No, I'm
Well,
joking.
That was Michael J. Fox.
I thought New Order became.
Oh God, that was really low.
I thought New
what
Order.
I do.
I thought New Order became from Joy Division after Ian Curtis had died.
Ian killed himself, and then they started New Order.
That's what I'm saying. So who was the lead singer of New Order?
Oh, there's several members
Hitler.
of the band that sing.
Hitler, right. Rudolph Nuremberg was his name. On bass was Eichmann. And on drums, Goebbels.
Wow. All right, Amber, I need another word.
Mein Kampf.
Oh, I'm just
Oh,
gonna
we had
give
a
a
very-
word and
Actually,
he goes.
we had a-
Mein
is, that
Kampf
the,
thing.
is this the whole routine? Like I say a word and
You
he
say
goes?
a word and then he goes somewhere.
It's the new routine. It's
our
the
new
new order.
You say a word.
Hausen Flausen.
Listen, actually, Andrew and I had a great conversation a few weeks ago because Andrew had lost the bet. Andrew was convinced everybody knew who the author was
amazing.
of Mein Kampf.
I didn't say everybody. I said the
Judy
vast,
Blume.
the vast Judy Blume.
He said the vast majority of people. So Andrew and I, before the show, usually Andrew gets a salad at McDonald's, and so he decides to start asking everybody there if they know who's written Mein Kampf.
Why not?
You should have seen the expressions
alright
on
with
these
that.
people's
Well,
faces.
first of all, they had no idea what it was.
No, they
which
didn't.
was very disappointing. That nobody would have any idea, and then they certainly didn't know who wrote it, which was just shocking to me.
Did you just check out his nails?
No, I did. I read this
And
recently.
she just wanted to grab his hand
I
because
did.
his moves are working.
No, totally.
and my
no.
tan, my scooter
Right?
tan.
I just can't believe we get somebody from
Every-
Playboy in here, and
What did you read?
moved
What
like
did you
5
read?
feet across the
I'm
desk.
gonna try to
Okay,
tell
all right, okay.
Better talk.
that women unconsciously find men more attractive when their ring finger is longer. Yeah, you have a crazy long ring finger. You're hot. Yeah, it's got to be
Wait.
longer
Wait, which is your ring
than
finger?
right here. This is your ring finger. It's
Then the
gotta be
pointer
long-
finger?
Then your pointer?
No, not that. That's not going to really happen. That it's going to be longer than your
Mine
pointer
is.
finger. But it's got to be longer than I think the knuckle, the top knuckle of your pointer finger.
You lose.
That's
You're
like
not-
too complicated.
Yeah,
I don't
you're-
know.
Oh no, you're really hot.
Right, check that out.
You're weirdly hot.
Right, for
Yeah.
a Vulcan.
Is it? Does it? Are you hot? If you're,
Andrew's a bear.
what if you're a girl? What if you're a girl?
No, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. You just have to have a vagina.
You're hot enough.
Yeah, right,
Yeah.
It's
That's why I hate
false.
when women say I got lucky. I go, no,
I
you
just
didn't get
have to have
lucky.
a
You got
vagina.
service.
My fingers can be whatever.
I'm like, you know, when women say I got lucky last night, I'm like, no,
Right.
you got service. Me is playing is luck. Okay, me is like the lotto.
Oh my god.
Okay, yes, as we've veered very off topic
Oh,
here
I
at
have a
Clean Radio.
topic.
Okay.
Yay.
Yes.
Because people think that sober people don't have fun. But
Right.
what happens in sobriety is we're forced to invent fun. So what
Yes.
what we tend to do, a big thing is spin the bottle.
Or truth or dare.
Truth or dare? You've done spin the
Of
bottle.
course.
And the great thing with spin the bottle is all the guys. If it lands on a guy, the guys have to make out.
No,
and they
I've
do
never
it.
done just spin the bottle.
Wait, like you just at
They'll
like a
do it.
sober party?
Like,
Or
yeah,
no,
like-
like AA conventions or.
Okay.
I haven't experienced this. This is.
And then
Because-
I
events-
haven't
and
played
mine-
spin the bottle in
You sure this
years.
wasn't
So
more
fun.
Playboy? Is this
So
sober
fun.
Playboy?
No,
Or is this like-
Nell does a lot of spin the bottle. And then my favorite thing is mooning. Just driving around and mooning. I moon sundowners. I'll moon like the ivy.
Really?
Yeah.
No, you know what? Can I tell you what it comes down to? Is
I moon Judah.
Do you TP houses? Should we TP
You did moon me
houses?
one time.
Yeah, I
I've done none of this.
Suzy
It's
did call.
variety.
Suzy one time did moon me,
Yeah.
and I get a text. I didn't notice. I didn't see anything. She goes, "Didn't you just notice me mooning you?" And I was like,
And I drove around again.
and
did
she
it.
drove around again, and
Did it?
yes.
That's interesting.
But I think one of the biggest things is the reason why we do this is because a lot of us, me included, you probably included, we didn't have fun childhoods.
No.
Yeah, where games were played
C
like
plus
this.
Games were not
childhood,
played.
C plus.
C plus. So much of my sobriety has been.
solid.
Right.
So
It
you.
wasn't. Mine wasn't horrible.
Okay,
Well, mine wasn't. Mine was pretty atrocious, and so was Suzy.
Your mother's gonna love to hear that.
How do you know mine was atrocious?
Because I know things about people, Lily, and
Was it atrocious?
which is a great line from
Pretty
In the Line
bad.
of
Yeah.
Fire.
Yeah.
But I've gotten I've in a sense gotten to play games I never gotten to play. I've gotten to live, and it's exciting. And I got to tell you, one of the greatest feelings I've ever had was. This is a true story. I was in therapy. True story, of course it is. I was in therapy.
Well, I hope so.
and,
You're just making up stories
I
now
was
on the radio. Like,
but I don't know why
Very
people say that.
episode.
You're
I
in
was-
therapy?
he recites field of
I've been
right.
I have two therapists actually. No, I don't have one.
Tag
But,
team.
You need to, right?
I was in therapy, and I there was
I
this.
feel like you and I are like backup singers, sort of. In it. We just
Yeah,
like
we're the
chime in.
Ronettes.
Like,
You're the
Therapy.
Right? And Judas the Joe
Judah
Cocker
goes
of radio.
You're the
Judah needs a word.
You're the Judels.
Banana.
You're the Judels.
Actually, Joe Cocker dances better than Judas, so you're not the Joe Cocker of
Oh,
radio.
that's such a mean joke on somebody with a stroke.
Right?
And such a
didn't
mean
have
joke
a
about me.
stroke.
Yes, he did.
Joe Cocker is completely healthy. I just went through this whole argument last night.
Oh, so that's an
Googled
urban
for
legend?
hours. No, he actually started off all those weird movements. He was pretending to do air guitar, and then as he got older,
that's
it
what
just
happened?
yeah. And then as he got older, it just expanded into this like soulful moving of his hands.
So, because the whole story where that came from was that he was really offended by who did him on Saturday Night Live, Belushi.
Yeah.
He was offended?
Yeah, he was.
Jim
That he was
Belushi.
actually very
that's so
offended by
weird.
that.
But that was one of the best moments ever on Saturday Night
and the
Live.
whole
Come on,
myth
that's
was
so
that he was
lame.
offended because he had a stroke, and that's why he acted
Not true.
like that.
Not true.
Okay, well, thank you for
Just very
debunking.
soulful.
You're like Mythbusters.
That's funny.
There you go.
Did that guy have a stroke, or is he just soulful?
Right? Well, he's very soulful.
Extremely soulful.
But okay, so I'm in therapy, and there's this. I'm in therapy, and there's this
Well,
beautiful.
It's no different than what we say about Judah every week, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you know.
I know how to take a joke.
Judah has a conch.
and and I'm in therapy, and I have this massive crush on this. Her name was Amanda, and it became my favorite
Amanda,
Boston, like Boston. And it became my favorite.
Lines.
It's just like the Boston song, and I was in love with this girl. So I walk into therapy one day, and I go, and she was like, training to become a therapist.
take you in my arms and make you realize,
It's-
Amanda.
yeah, that's you have a good
That's a jam.
voice.
That's pretty good.
And
Wow.
I wanna. Okay.
And then
like,
Judah has to ruin it.
it's got like 1,000 pickup lines in it.
Totally.
And it's like got every pickup line in it.
Yeah.
It's like
Any of which could result in being arrested.
right. So I'm sitting there and I go to my therapist. I go, "Can you set me up with this woman?" And that's doing an internship there. And she goes, "Well, I don't think that would be ethical, right? Because I'm your therapist."
And you had to ask what ethical
And I'm like,
meant.
and I go as a joke, I'm like, "You're fired." And so all I want to do is,
fired.
and my therapist says to me, if the time comes that something will appear. So I'm like, okay, so I'm drinking coffee downstairs. It's 59th Street, Columbus Circle. And I'm drinking coffee, I'm smoking a cigarette, and she comes out, and she's with all these people, and I get this moment where she goes to get her own coffee in the store, and she leaves all the people, all their workers, and I go on the
And
street.
then the Judah kicks
Yes,
in.
I go. God, if the program of Alcoholics Anonymous works, let it work now. And I'm screaming on the street. I'm like saying the Serenity Prayer out loud, going, God, please just give me give me the ability to be able to ask this girl out.
Amber is
And-
actually recoiling in like shock
Horror.
of the story. Right? Her
And,
hands are just creeping.
And she
in.
walks.
She no longer has a
I'm
vagina.
like,
And she walks. And she
I'm like
walks.
choreographing.
Right,
dance
where could this
videos in my
possibly
head.
go?
And she walks
When I
out. She
zone
smokes.
out, I'm
And
dancing.
she walks
I'm
out.
dancing in my brain.
Let me get
Give
to
her
the rest of my
happy
story.
place.
She walks out. She's
Okay.
smoking a cigarette, and I
And
walk.
now she has anal work.
Oh my God! Wow! And this is and I go to her. I go to her. You know, we're talking. We're smoking. I go, "Hey, would you like to go out one night?" And it took
she said
every
no.
ounce of courage. She goes, I don't know if that would be ethical.
The therapist tipped her off.
And I go, I don't even know what that word means, but I've heard it twice.
Wait, we had a Barbara Walters moment. Amber started crying.
But I've heard it twice in the last hour.
Amber started crying at the patheticness of your story.
And we actually never went out. But it was
really
Wow.
did.
Look at that. She really started crying.
But it had.
Show 13 we broke. It's a breakthrough, guys.
But
we
it
get
had
that on
nothing.
video?
But again, it had nothing to do.
He just keeps going.
Right.
I love how you are relentless. You are relentless with your relentless talker.
But it had. In the end of the
Drive
day.
it home, baby.
In the end of the day.
There's
I
only
was
10 minutes left in the
even
show.
though that she said no, I was proud of myself that I asked her out. It was a huge moment in my life and my sobriety.
job.
Thank you very much.
Even though you
job.
didn't.
It didn't matter. It wasn't about her. It wasn't about her or hurt, Freudian slip. It was about.
Wow.
I did have Amber crying.
What a performance.
Amber Tozer. Amber, are you going to be appearing anywhere soon?
May 16th, it's at a bar in Santa Monica, Mom's Bar. That's my next show. Sometimes I don't perform all the time. Sometimes.
If
Yeah,
you're
but
having a
website?
rough time at the bar,
But
Suzy will
follow
help
me on
you.
Twitter.
Yeah. Just Twitter your name?
Amber Tozer.
Amber
Twitter.com.
Yeah.
Amber Tozer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
And can we find any of your
and-
shows on
And Facebook.
And Facebook?
Yeah, I post them. I have one June 15th at Skinny's Lounge in NoHo, and then I have one at Akbar on June 14th. So I have
Ah.
a few coming up.
I love the stage at Akbar. It's like
it's my favorite room.
It's like a little box.
It's so adorable,
it is a
and the
great room,
audiences
though.
are
Oh, I
awesome.
could do that. I could
yeah,
do
yeah,
that.
yeah. There's a show there every Tuesday night. It's
We got to
really
go to a
good.
break real quick.
We got to
here.
go to a break. We'll be right
And
back.
we're going to listen to Joy Division, the most pro-Jewish band on earth.
You're listening to Clean Radio.
All right. Clean Radio. Judah puts in a few fake drum beats or whatever the hell that is.
Yes, played by Goebbels from the band New Order.
Wow. I'm upset by that, but I'll let it go.
Okay, I got the signal again to move to my right by Patrick.
That was pretty smooth. He did like the slip and slide move,
And he didn't even do it subtly. He's like this.
right?
And Suzy, do you have any columns coming up?
No, I'm trying to think if I have anything that I can think. I just wrote a book, but it's at publishers now.
Oh, that's amazing.
So thank you.
What's the book called? Are you allowed to tell?
I'm actually not allowed to tell, so I don't know. That doesn't do anything for anyone.
Why don't you just like read it to us line by line like Judah did with Field of Dreams?
Field
I'll,
of Dreams.
I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what though. When the book comes out,
First
you promise
chapter.
you come back on the show.
Oh yes, thank you. I would love that.
That'd be
Yes,
great.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
When is it
Very
coming
good.
out?
Dynamite. Fingers crossed in over the summer.
That's amazing.
Thanks, buddy.
That's great. Yeah.
No.
I always admire people that actually write a whole book.
This is pretty cool.
It's my second one.
Wow.
How
I
do
always
you
admire
finish
people
stuff?
more that write too.
How do you what? Because I'm such a procrastinator.
Yeah, I'm
How-
such a procrastinator.
What's your strategy of actually following through and finishing?
It's kind of like sobriety because I'm like so ADD and I was
Yeah.
a wretched student. I was in special ed. And strangely, I got into NYU because somebody made a horrible mistake.
That's really making Judah feel bad. Wait, we might get another Barbara Walters
all right.
moment.
It didn't do anything for me.
Special ed people
just
got in
plow
before
through.
Judah.
I'm like soaking in the beat up on that one.
my brother was really smart, so his his report card would be on the refrigerator, and my helmet would be on top of the refrigerator. My mom would put like fruit in it. But I went to NYU. But anyway, but it was just by the grace of God, because with I've never finished anything in my
Yeah.
life. So and never, and actually literally never read a book in high school or college, not one book, and lost my train of thought because I'm an idiot.
And you too can get into NYU.
And you too can get it. Where it was like, and just by the grace of God, like for with AA, for 7 years I went to meetings and just couldn't get it, and then one day just got it. Same thing with writing the book. It was just like God spoke to me and just
and
That's
you just
the same
finish
thing.
it.
and it just happened.
I don't know if it's early sobriety for me, but I feel like I feel more creative and genuine with the stuff that I write and try to put out there. But I do have a little problem like scheduling myself. I don't know if it's because when you're drinking and using, that's all you do.
Right.
And so that's what you do. So when you get sober, I feel like I have a little bit of a hard time
There's a lot more free time.
There's there's more free time, and I don't know how to schedule myself. And I work part time and I do comedy, and I do this. I show up for what I'm supposed to, but like. All these creative projects, like I think I have, and I don't know if it's early sobriety. I don't know if
it is early sobriety.
I don't know what it is, but I feel like
it takes a few years for your marbles to come back.
I think the first couple years are tough, and then you start to get more organized.
Right.
But also,
so.
doing things like making lists, and
which is
and
alcoholics
checking
hate.
it twice.
And don't take everything on all at once. It's a big thing. Like one of the things I tell a lot of clients is, especially people that worry a lot, is make the list of the 3 things that are bothering you the most the night before you go to bed. Right? Put them by your bed, and in the morning, do those 3 things first. Take care of those 3 things first. And if you do that,
what a recipe for success. Yeah,
that's great.
But you do that, the rest of your day is free.
It's cake,
instead
baby.
of just worrying all day about those 3 things and not getting anything done with them.
Oh, and another thing I have, is what I did for ADD. When I have an article or anything, any work to do that involves writing, I'll do 1 sentence at a time. I'll be like, I'll go to my left, I'll write 1 sentence, then
then you get up and
go to lunch, or then I'll write another sentence, then I'll go to the bathroom, then I'll do, then I'll do my hair, call my mom, whatever it is.
Wow.
There you go.
Well, the greatest thing on writing a book I've ever heard somebody say was, if you write every day, if you write 1 page, a day for 365 days, at the end of that year, you'll have 365
our time
Yeah, but a
has
page
come.
is so overwhelming.
Yeah, that's true.
When Marilyn
sentence at
Manson
a time.
plays, it is the end of our show.
Oh.
So I would like to thank Suzy and Amber both for coming in.
Oh, I love the song.
Yeah.
Thank you. It was fun.
Yeah, it was good.
Just as good as Joy Division, right?
It's amazing. And great to know you have a Marilyn Manson mask at home.
Ah, yes. Anyway, long story. Come for show 14. You can hear all about that. All right. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Come back. You can listen to us on KLEANradio.com, and our guest names are up there. And look them up on Facebook, and enjoy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Later.
Bye.
All stars now in the dope show. Lots of